me, early Halloween. Not quite Halloween, but we're almost there. For me, Halloween starts July 31st, and I don't care what anybody else says. It's Tales from the Treehouse. Welcome back. I am Andrew Fantasia.
I'm Amanda Brown.
So happy to have you back if you're a returning listener. If you're not a returning listener, I don't know what you're doing starting with episode 2. There might be something wrong with your math skills. There's a first one. Check that out first, I promise. But welcome. This is the show, the podcast where we talk and in depth at length about the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes, specifically numbers 1 through 20. We won't go past that for now. I think that's a good place to cap things off, and that'll take us hopefully around Halloween, probably past it, but still at a place where you're in a Halloween mood. And we are not necessarily Simpsons scholars or anything like that, but Amanda's pretty smart. I'm almost as smart as her. We're we love the show, so I'm hoping that at least one of the things we have to say will make an eyebrow or two raise and maybe make people think about the show in a new light, because it is a pretty damn good show. Um, I think Amanda, I want to kick things off here by asking a question, because we are talking about Halloween, and we mentioned in episode 1, which some of our mathematically confused listeners may not have started with, we mentioned that we grew up in the 90s, which was peak Halloween, baby. Like, it was good times to be a Halloween fan. And you said something last episode that I kind of want to turn around and turn into a question and ask you, because you said you loved watching Treehouse of Horror live because it got you excited for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something the current generation of kids, if I can put on my old man yells at cloud hat for a minute, the current generation of kids is missing out on that, uh, tuning into live television and seeing not only Halloween specials, but Halloween commercials for like Count Chocula or whatever crazy shit Ronald McDonald was going to give you if you show up to a McDonald's right now, and he'll give you like a pumpkin McNugget or something. And just all the kinds of crazy things that they would throw at you to just, you were bombarded with the spirit of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And that is sorely missing to a generation that grows up on streaming. So I wanted to ask you, what is your favorite, or at least one of your favorite Halloween memory?
Ooh, I think like going out and picking costumes,
Ooh.
what you were going to be every year.
Mm.
And I remember I think probably after season 1 of The Simpsons, like The Simpsons was a Halloween costume. So by episode 2 of the Treehouse of Horror, you could have been essentially one of the Simpsons characters for Halloween. Like I know people dress up.
Right.
Either handmade or like store bought masks. Since it was pretty popular.
Did you ever dress up
And
as them?
yeah, I mean, Halloween was such a big thing. Like you would dress it up, dress up for school. I mean, kids still do it. They have a variety of like dress up days now at school, like outside of Halloween, like crazy hair day and like all of that. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Halloween was special because it was like the only day where you did that. They kind of, dulled the tradition of it by, making it, and not to say it's not good and magical and whimsical for kids to do that, to have other days where it's like that, but it's kind of, taking a little bit of the excitement away. And yeah, to your point with streaming, you lose that build up, of the season because you don't see the commercials because there's no commercials. You're just picking the content that you're ingesting. And it may not even, again, be seasonal or related to, Halloween or whatever, just because it's October. Whereas back in the day with cable, there were limited channels if you had cable. And then, the lucky people had, satellite dishes,
Ooh.
you know, back in the day. Um, so you got fancy American channels that in Canada we couldn't get without satellite dish. But Simpsons was, you know, prime time. Like it was Fox. It was, something we also had and like a lot of households watched. It was a pretty popular station channel, especially for homes that watched a lot of sports like football and, baseball.
Mhm.
So by default, you may have been watching episodes of The Simpsons before or after a sporting event, um, or in syndication after the first couple seasons because again, it was on all the time. They just filled in any empty space with The Simpsons because it's popular. It was 30 minutes, and people would watch it. So yeah, it was interesting.
Picking out costumes is a great Halloween memory. Um, I don't remember a lot of costumes from my youth. I remember as a teenager, I went as Austin Powers a lot. You probably remember seeing me in high school as Austin Powers.
Yeah, I do.
Once I got a Halloween costume, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ride this thing for like 3 years. Like I don't bother something new every year. I just get lazy. Uh, but that is a great memory to go to the store and pick out costumes. That's something I don't remember doing as a youngin'. I just Halloween showed up and all of a sudden there was a costume on my body. I don't know how it got there. I don't remember picking it. It was just there.
Well, the best costumes always were and are like homemade, like simple, like subtle costumes that you could just, you know, use regular clothes, but just add a little tweak. Is like that's a costume. Like you're this person, or like a brown or tan outfit with like aviator style glasses. You're Dwight from The Office. Like a suit and a purple bandana. You're Michael Scott from The Office. I keep naming Office characters, but like, you get the point. Like their outfits are day to day clothing, but you could make costumes out of like anything really if you're creative. But yeah, back in the day, costumes were original.
Do you know what you're gonna wear this year?
I haven't decided. Last year, I was pretty last minute. I had a few options. This year, I'm probably gonna pick the option I didn't pick from last year, which is I think Catwoman. So
Oh, okay. Now there's a lot of versions of Catwoman. Which one are we talking here?
I think it'll probably be the costume I got is like the Anne Hathaway version.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm also considering a DC character this year because that Superman movie was like my heart and soul this summer. And I have a go-to costume that I just bust out every few years because it's so easy. Is I just go as Clark Kent. I have a Superman shirt, and I just put on like an office attire over top of it with a tie, and I made a little Daily Planet press pass that I wear. And then every once in a while, I'll just be walking. Somebody's like, "What kind of costume is that?" And I'll just go like this, and then they'll know exactly what kind of costume it is.
Sarcasm. He's cooler than Superman.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I looked more like him. He's got a little more hair up here and a little less over here, but what are you gonna do?
That is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Super Clark Kent.
You can be super when you're bald, even if you're Lex Luthor. I'm sure he's been Superman once or twice.
You know what? And maybe if you dress up as Clark Kent, I'll dress up as Luck.
Ooh.
Black, sorry. I'll dress on black. Get a ball cap. And be him. That'd be a fun costume. Something to wear to work. I would love it.
Yeah. And then you can beat me up. Like I'll show up at your work and I'll be like, "Where's my dog?" And then you can just start beating me up. So
Well, go very well.
so Treehouse of Horror 2 is what we're talking about today. And this aired, Amanda. We already have um do I have a typo here? I think I have a typo in my book here because this says January 31st. I think they meant to write October 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah, so October 31st, 1991. So we have already it's already like the second one, and they're already managing to air it on the holiday itself. Complete guide. You're dropping the ball with these typos here. That's why they got to make a remake of this complete guide so that I can get my hands on a shiny new copy. Thank you in advance, Mac Raining, for doing that for me. Um, and in this one, the kids come home from school and they eat from school, sorry, from trick or treating, and they eat way too much candy. And Marge says, "Don't do that. You'll have nightmares." And sure enough, and Homer partakes too, as he is wont to do. So he also is having a nightmare. Airing on Halloween night, Amanda. it- Is that a good idea? What do you think?
I think by season 2, they already had or the season 3, episode 2 of Treehouse of Horror, they already had, the previous year. So airing it the week before Halloween, they were able to kind of still get people excited. I got excited because it's Halloween. And yeah, it's probably not as, you know, good an idea, but depending on the night, it's Sunday. Most people are home. Yeah, and generally people are out trick or treating, but young people with younger kids, they're home because it's too dark or, they don't stay out too long.
Mhm.
Um, so they could still watch it. Adults who are at Halloween parties, Sunday, they probably weren't at Halloween parties. You're probably, it was really just anyone with like older kids. They probably stayed out a little later and maybe the show. But yeah, I feel like the second episode I did see because I was kind of on the younger side. So we were home to watch it. And to be fair, I think everyone was excited to watch it. So you used to go home to watch The Simpsons.
Right.
You didn't want to miss it. It wasn't like now where you could catch a clip of it on social media or you could go somewhere and download the show or catch it online. There was no PVR, which was also a thing for a while. If you're not
Mhm.
familiar, which was a cable recording device, free streaming. You couldn't do anything. If you had a VCR, you could tape cable. Like if you were fancy enough, you had a VCR, and you used to buy blank VHSs to that because you had a VCR that could record because it's a fancy, pretty big technology. Back in the 90s, you could do it. So yeah, I feel like there were a couple years where we were like, "Oh, we can record it because we had the VCR."
Nice.
We
Fancy.
were super into that technology, big time. Thing with like, you know, VHS or sorry, not VHS, the tapes. We used to have 8 track. But yeah, we had, the tape to CD transition, but same with VHS to DVD, like you have the DVDs. People used to record it. So even if you missed it, you could do that. But people should go home and watch it. It was that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's appointment television, and
Yeah.
that's long gone now, and it's a shame because I feel like that would be so many people would appreciate that, not only because it harkens back to a simpler time, but it's a great cop out for if you wanna leave a party or a function early.
Yeah.
"Listen, this dinner party is great, the linguine was totally not overcooked, but I gotta go because Scrubs is on in half an hour." Like,
Yeah.
it's
Exactly. Sorry, but I'm dipping.
so maybe if television brings that back, we might just have a happier, healthier society. Who knows? I'm not saying streaming caused the downfall of humankind, but I haven't seen the downfall of humankind and streaming in the same room either. So, you know,
And I feel like the old TV guide descriptions of what episodes were about were always wildly unhinged and like mysterious to the point where you're like, what is that? Like Dumb and Dumber. I've never heard it described that way. Or something like The Wizard of Oz, right? Um, yeah, so I mean that was also a fun element that you don't have now. Like sure streaming services sometimes will have a comical description, but they always correct it
yeah.
or change it when someone notices. Um, yeah, back in the day it was much different. Much different.
My favorite weird streaming description that I've ever seen is, you know how on Netflix they have like the warnings for parents or whatever, and they just kind of use like keywords. Look, if you turn on a show, it'll say violence, comma, smoking, just little very basic words.
Mhm.
Uh, a couple years back, I watched Star Trek: The Next Generation for the first time, and every episode had the same two-word warnings: fear, comma, sex. I was like, wow, fear and sex. This is.
Like,
I gotta make sure no kids are around. This is
together in one scene. Who cleared that?
Well, to be a fly on the wall that day.
Yeah. Um, Great series. Excellent series.
Yeah, it was. I really dug it. I'm happy I watched it. Um, so Bart, Lisa, and Homer each have a nightmare.
Yep.
Um, you want to start off by talking to us about Lisa's nightmare? Walk us through that one.
Yeah. Um, Lisa's nightmare is segment one, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
It's
monkey paw.
the monkey paw. Yeah.
So this is also this is a parody of a short story from back in the day. I feel like a lot of these sketches in these episodes are usually a parody. I think in the last episode we talked about how the Raven is kind of like an outlier in terms of these sketches in the Trios of Horror because it's one of I think the and then you pointed out I think it's the only one that is not a parody. It's just a retelling of the story with a little bit of Simpsons flair with the animation.
Mhm.
Not really much twisted or changed about it. Um, and that's the Raven. But this segment, and Lisa's dream, it's very fitting. As the animal lover is the monkey paw, and it's a story about the Simpsons traveling to it seems like Morocco. I'm pretty sure. And Homer, he comes across a magical, bazaar that just kind of appears with a man who's, semi suspicious. And he sees his offerings and he sees a monkey paw and he automatically grabs these. Oh, this is one of these things that grants wishes. And of course, he's warned against it. And the merchant is like, "You're gonna have bad luck, or you're gonna die from monkey paw." But he takes it anyway, to the family, right into the family home, and trouble ensues. With them, coming to the end where they need to, obviously destroy the monkey paw. So the Simpsons episode is very similar to the actual story, the things they wish for, so very parallel to the actual retelling in the short story. Um, but yeah, obviously their mishaps are pretty funny in this one. Um, the animation is funny too, just in itself, and how it kind of includes other characters more in this season from the first episode because it introduces not just the family. Ned is involved in this episode, and other characters are starting to become involved
Mhm.
as more of the trios wars progress with this episode specifically. So yeah, it was good. It's a little bit different. So it's kind of again becoming popular, so they're embracing it and really running with it in the second season.
Now, I never read the real monkey's paw story. That's one of the ones that's kind of on my list. Uh, in the story, does the paw do the same thing where like the fingers start to go down?
Yeah, yeah, it's supposed to.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like a countdown.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's been used. It's the used monkey spot. I don't know if they reset. I think the story doesn't really talk about that. Like once the person's dead or whatever, if the pit reopens. I don't know. Good question. Maybe I'll Google it, but yeah,
Yeah, that whole episode, or not episode, but that whole story, the nightmare that Lisa has is it's such a fun episode because, like you said, they're getting the whole Simpsons gang in there, and at some point in the story, everything goes so horribly awry that Kang and Kodos invade, and this is their time to shine this episode. And when they show up, we get some stuff with Mo as well, where Mo chases them off the planet with a board with a nail in it. Um, and the peace on Earth that Lisa wishes for backfires so horribly. And it's just every beat of this story is just one great gag after another. Um, and we pick our favorite moments here on Tales from the Treehouse from each story. And this is probably the one that's hardest to pick because it's so densely packed with jokes and great moments. I love everything about The Simpsons just I could just watch them for 25 straight minutes just sitting around in their living room deciding what to wish for on the paw and arguing about what's worth and not worth wishing for.
Yeah.
I think, gun to my head, my favorite moment of Lisa's nightmare has gotta be, um, the sketchy bizarre man, uh, where Homer's like, "It's that little shop right over there."
And he's like, and he turns his head again, and it's like, oh, there he is. Yeah.
So and you just see him off in the corner, "You'll be sorry."
He'll be sorry. Yeah. God. Yeah. My favorite part. That's definitely the best part.
Just again, Simpsons, they made a science and an art simultaneously out of knowing what the audience expects from comedy and then just completely turning it on its head. Like, they're so good at that. Yeah, that shot of just him in the background.
Yeah.
It'll never not make me laugh.
But it's the story too is just very befitting of The Simpsons because it's like, be careful what you wish for, right? Like, really put thought into things. And, outside of Lisa and maybe, Marge, who's somewhat shallow at times, but like, they're not really thinking ahead or forward thinking or, really considerate. So, it's funny to see how their wishes backfire. And again, it's similar to the original story, like Bad for Money. I think I think the original story in one of the requests is like something aesthetic, like beauty. So it like backfires. But yeah, they do a great job in this one incorporating other characters into the dream because again, it wouldn't be The Simpsons without the tirade of characters, right, that you've grown to love and how they all kind of embody the wonderful stereotypes. But yeah, to your point, I do think it would be great. And my favorite other part of the episode is when they're all talking and arguing about what to wish for and not realizing that the one wish has already turned out badly, like just ignoring that. 'Cause they're just like, oh, we'll figure it out. Very simple,
Uh-huh.
attitude. Yeah.
I think a really close honorable mention has to go to the way Homer reacts when his turkey sandwich is not up to par.
So angry.
That's the tipping point.
Yeah, that's the dimming light for him. Turkey sandwich.
Just this grown man in front of his children screaming to the heavens.
Yeah, totally right. That's what it was. That's what I'm saying to you.
Oh my god. Lisa's nightmare is just it's beautiful. And then she wakes up, she's scared. This monkey's paw dream really scared the crap out of her. Enough so that she's got to go ask Bart if she can bunk with him for the night because otherwise she's not going to get to bed. She bribes him with a candy necklace, and I gotta say, the sound effect of Bart eating that candy necklace, it sounds like they actually just got Nancy Cartwright to eat a candy necklace because it
Yeah.
brought back such a visceral childhood memory hearing him chew that.
Handy jewelry. It was practical and functional and fashion. It was everything.
And then Bart has his nightmare, and his nightmare is another Twilight Zone, a very overt Twilight Zone reference. And I think this is one of the episodes I was able to catch before Twilight Zone was pulled out from under my feet. Um, but it's the whole idea of here's this boy. This boy has incredible godlike powers, and the whole world is seemingly at his mercy. And we even kick off with a Rod Serling impression by Harry Shearer, just setting the stage. And Bart is just he's able to do anything to anyone. It seems even Jasper, who is halfway across town, who is getting he's getting mighty sick with happy thoughts. And Bart turns him into an abomination. And this whole story just revolves around his relationship with Homer. And Homer has, had enough, as I'm sure everybody in the world has at this point, of this boy who can do anything he wants to if you don't obey his every whim. And he attempts to murder him, and then that backfires because Bart can hear his thoughts, and he turns Homer into a Jack in the Box. And it has become, I think, one of the most iconic Treehouse of Horror character models is Homer as that Jack in the Box. Uh, and the rest of the episode is a father-son bonding adventure, and then it just abruptly ends with them having a sweet, tender moment that scares Bart so much, he wakes up screaming. Which I don't know if you've ever listened to the commentaries on the DVDs, Amanda, but they brought up a great point where the characters in The Simpsons do that very often, where they wake up from a bad dream and they sit upright really fast and start screaming. I think it was Mike Reese, one of the showrunners. He said, "Try doing that one day. The human abdomen does not work that way. It would be very painful."
Yeah, it is painful. If you've ever, woken up ill and you're throwing up while you're trying to sit up, yeah, that's like almost impossible.
Ouch.
Blow the old esophagus. There's pressure there. But screaming is hard. Singing is hard. Imagine so. I just screaming and trying to move muscles where other muscles in the area are contracting. It's gonna be hard. Um, yeah, that's actually a really funny point. It does happen pretty often on the Simpsons. That episode specifically.
And I don't know what it is, but I love whenever Bart and Lisa scream. Just something about them screaming is just so funny to me. Just the way when they are frightened, like even just when they see Sideshow Bob, they're like, "Ah," and their tongues are wagging. Like I love, yeah,
Yeah. Like wiggle? Yeah. Yeah. And in terror, the terror shudder. Yeah, that's definitely anytime I think of people screaming, I think I do look for that now, actually. The cartoon in me. Or like the eye bulging, like I think of
uh-huh.
yeah,
Um,
Roadrunner screaming.
and they said they were saying in the commentary of as well about this little father-son montage that Homer and Bart have in this dream. And there's a specific type of music that plays that's just like this upbeat, like doo, 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 doo. It kind of sounds like the music that plays when you're making a sim. Like it's very non-Simpsons.
Yeah, it's like elevator music almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they mentioned that it comes from I think it's from the 50s, or if not the early 60s. There was a television commercial that was an anti-smoking PSA. And the commercial was a dad hanging out with his son, and everything the dad did, the son would copy, and it ends with the dad pulling out like a pack of Belmonts or whatever, and the
Mhm.
son's like, "Ooh," and it's like, "Don't smoke, dads," right? And that exact music, like, I'm pretty sure they sampled it, like, it doesn't sound all that different, was used in this commercial. And knowing that that's what they're referencing, like, I looked it up and watched the commercial, it's just hilarious, like, it just makes this 10 times funnier than it already was.
Great. But that's like seeing references now in like newer episodes where it's like them making fun of something that's happened in like the mid 2000s or the 90s or the 80s, if you're familiar with it, right?
Mhm.
Or other pop culture or what have you. Or just experiencing it because you were alive then. Like, I don't know. But yeah, no, it's great. It's funny how they're able to build on like stories so well because they have such a big foundation of characters. So it's so easy for them to like do a great parody of like so many things or to call back to so many things and then be able to get relatively close to what they're, satirizing because they have such a broad variety. But
Mhm.
to know that's what it's from, it's really funny because it's so niche. And I feel like only, well, not only now, but maybe now people who have been influenced by The Simpsons would incorporate something as weird and like random and niche as that. But again, that's a testament to their humor. And it's like, I wonder if people will look into what this is. And I think that's what the idea behind so many of their references are, which is great.
You know
The
what?
more you know, right?
The more you know. Exactly. You know what would be probably, like, the perfect analog to that? Like you just said, like, that's the equivalent of them referencing something from the '80s or whatever. It would be like if you and I were writing an episode of The Simpsons today, and we made a reference to that guy. Do you remember that guy who's like, "People don't see the real me. They only see my acne problem." Like,
Yeah.
that if we dropped one of those and people are like, "Why is Bart talking like that about his acne?" And then we'd be like, "Well, there was this commercial once."
Yeah. Back in the day. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I don't think this dream gets enough credit for ending the way it does, where what terrifies Bart to the point where he wakes up screaming is a tender moment of being kissed at night by his father.
He trips them out. But that really, really plays into, like, 90s, like, in terms of little boys being, like, anti-affection.
Yeah. And anti grown up.
Yeah, like, very anti-grown up, like, that what's that, defiance disorder where they just have, like, oppositional defiance disorder, where you're just immediately anyone you think is, like, an adult or, like, a figure that's in authority, like, you just are immediately against them, like,
Ooh. Mhm.
that's what a lot of I feel like little boys had, and I don't know what the influence is, but The Simpsons really picked up on that and portrayed it perfectly because my brother was the same. Yo, and, like, coming from, again, like, a European family, like, my grandmother, "No, no, you always, like, try to kiss him and stuff," and I'd be like, "Get away from me." Like, my "No, no, it's a guy, why is he kissing
Oh
me?
no,
I'm a
poor
boy."
London.
It's like, "Okay, relax." But again, like, certain things were different back in the day, and it was okay to say certain words and not it not be offensive. It was more, picked up as a joke or on the humorous side. Um, yeah, kinda, again, playing into that 90s kind of stereotype with boys, but
Mhm.
they did it perfectly.
Yeah, they did. And then that leads us into the third and final nightmare. Walk us through this one.
So this one is good. I enjoy this one specifically because it's Bart Simpson's Dracula, and this is Homer's dream, right?
Homer's dream is the Frankenstein robot
For episode 2?
for Treehouse of Horror 2. Yeah. When they put Homer's brain in the robot.
Oh my god.
Did you mix it up?
Yeah.
I thought you were going, sorry. I thought you were like taking like a long walk. You're like, I thought you were gonna be like, hear me out. If you really dissect this, this is gonna be Bart Simpson's Dracula, and here's why. I was ready. I was on board.
Oh my gosh. I made a list on my notes and it's wrong. So the third episode or sketch on the episode is Homer's Nightmare. And this part of the episode is where you see Homer, his brain being used and put into a robot by Mr. Burns. It's a very Frankenstein-esque uh, retelling, I would say, of Mary Shelley's classic. But it also has a little hint of RoboCop, which was I feel like very popular in the late 80s, early 90s. So a little bit of an homage to both. They wanted to get in that, action movie, like funny, topical, while also referencing again a more popular and recognizable gothic horror. Um, and this episode is, pretty well done because, using Homer as the monster and Mr. Burns as, the villain or the evil Dr. Frankenstein. It's kind of funny because he does have his gopher, Smithers,
Good old Smithers.
yeah, in love with Mr. Burns. Um, yeah, it's a good episode and it pays again pretty good homage to Frankenstein, also kind of young Frankenstein if you're a fan of Mel Brooks. Kind of similar in a few of the jokes, um, in structure. But yeah, it's a good reference to, again, Homer kind of being, not the smartest crayon in the box. So maybe using him was not the best idea. So the Simpsons spin on, the more, I guess, sad and grotesque tale and gothic tale. It's made funny by it being, represented by the funniest character on The Simpsons. Um, you know, who is always filled with hubris. So it's a great sketch, and I think I don't want to speak to you soon, but one of my more favorite in this episode, like one of probably top two, because I love Frankenstein. I'm a lover of Frankenstein. Probably one of my favorite books. Um, will probably be my recommendation for this episode of the book.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked this sketch a lot, and I thought it was good in terms of, again, they're pretty good at satirizing or, being a parody. This is probably closest to the actual maybe story. It's kind of ominous because Mr. Burns is kind of a scary character, even though he's funny, but everyone has someone in their life that is like a Mr. Burns, and like just it's kind of scary and terrifying to everybody, no matter who you are. So it's a good representation there, and again, the other episodes are kind of funny, a little more light, and this kind of ends again with like a more gothic horror, but the Simpsons twist. And a kind of modern twist, again, the references that are similar to RoboCop.
Yeah, that's true. This is the most this really does go darker than the other two nightmares, which is fitting because it's an adult character having this nightmare, so it makes sense. Um yeah, they I love their idea of playing with the Frankenstein story because it's so classic and same, I love that book. Um in like there's a lot of I think in terms of the Universal monster movies, my favorite one is a Frankenstein movie. So like my Frankenstein bar is already pretty high. Um, and this episode just takes it and has fun with it the way that The Simpsons does. And it really is a Burns and Smithers show. Like at the end of the day, this really is just the two of them palling it up, having a good time, making this monster. And it's a great way to take the character of Dr. Frankenstein and adapt it in a modern corporate setting, and it still works. You never once doubt that, like, this is weird that Burns would do this. This is kind of dumb. It never feels out of character, even though he's not doing it for the same reasons Victor Frankenstein is. It's its own thing, and it's so close to the source material while simultaneously being a parody. I don't know how they did it, but
Yeah.
it almost needed to be told. Like the story is one of those stories that writes itself. Burns makes a monster.
Yeah. And what's great about it too, in referencing such a popular story and a story that's still kind of misunderstood by not, by most people. Like they don't realize until maybe you read it or digested the story in some other form of media, like movie, TV show, what have you, that Frankenstein, the doctor, is the monster and not the creature. So right off the bat, they established that on The Simpsons. But it's like it's very clear by the decision making and who they've cast in those roles and the characters they've chosen. So I like that they've done that because they just make it very clear, like he's not the back story. He is because it's something that I think confuses people when they think of Frankenstein. Right? Like
Yeah.
he's the doctor. Frankenstein thinks the monster. That's the monster. Like you're not drinking Dr. Pepper. You're drinking Dr. Pepper's monster. Not. I love that reference.
Mhm.
I always anytime I see someone drinking Dr. Pepper, I have to tell them that. Yeah.
And one beautiful little moment from this that I don't think gets enough credit is that Burns had this robot that looks suspiciously like Homer before deciding that Homer is the brain that's going to go in it.
Yeah. Who would it be? Sector 7G, right?
One day, my dream is to work in a Sector 7G so that my boss won't know my name. That's
Right? Fly under that radar.
so. What about a favorite moment or quote for you from Homer's Nightmare? What are you feeling?
Oh, yeah, it's gotta be between Smithers, like, and Burns, like, just their banter. I couldn't point it out because I really like that sketch, and again, like, Frankenstein's my favorite, so just their preferences, but And I also really like how, again, with the timing, like, RoboCop was really popular at the time, and, like, the fact that they made it, like, translating his brain into a robot, like, it reminded me of RoboCop. Like, my dad used to watch it. I think there was, like, 1 or 2 by that point now. Um, but yeah, that movie is intense too. If you haven't seen it
Yeah.
unedited, it's the beginning, the gore is horrific. Like, it's
He gets
really
so
crazy.
I've never seen anybody shot more in my life.
Yeah, you get riddled. Like, how did you salvage anything? Like, at all. So it's funny to see it, but yeah, I just remember that at the time, like, and thinking about during that period what was just previously popular, right?
Mhm.
Um, because they do like to reference, you know, the past a lot and like stuff that was popular when the writers were kids and when they were growing up and when their parents were kids, like things and stories they heard. So it's funny when they do more topical and like current things as well.
Yeah.
They always just like nail it. Where the references are just always like spot on.
Um, I think for me, for my favorite moment, it is a Burns and Smithers moment. And I think it's specifically because of Harry Shearer's acting, the way he delivers this line in just the right way, where they have Homer in the sack and he makes a noise and it freaks Smithers out.
Yeah.
And Smithers is like trying to get Burns' attention. And Burns turns around and just the irritable way where he's like, "What is it, Smithers? Frankenstein, the Booger Man?" Like he's he's so dismissive. But just hearing him say the Booger Man in that tone of voice,
Yeah.
it always gets me. And every time I'm like, it's not that funny, is it? And then he says it, and I'm like, heck yeah, it is.
He like the character just even looks like ominous evil, like all of his features going to a point, like they're very sharp, like even like his hairline, almost his horns, like his he's always plotting, like his voice is so silly, like it's just not scary, but he's still somehow like yeah.
Have you ever seen a cosplayer dressing up as Burns? Have you ever seen that photo? It's the most disturbing. If you ever want like nightmare fuel, because he goes all out with this Burns, and it's something.
Yeah. Steve being pretty terrible.
If I find it, I'll send it to you. Don't open it before bed.
I won't.
So, Treehouse of Horror 2, A Trio of Nightmares, which Marge warned us about, but we didn't listen. We got to listen to Marge. Oh, and by the way, I mean, those little moments of Marge coming out off the top in front of the curtain and telling us not to watch, that's a lost art too. I miss that. They got to bring that back.
Yeah, and it's funny, like apparently they cut it or decided not to include it as the seasons went on because they didn't wanna take away from time in the sketches. And, yeah, it was a part that was very reminiscent of the times. It was very, like, like, back in the '90s, like, "Oh, reminders on TV," like, "It's dark. Where are your kids?" Like, "It's 11." And, yeah, "Have you talked to your children? Like, are they inside? 'Cause we used to go and just play outside until, whenever dinner or The Simpsons came on and, like, go inside." Right? Like, you were always outside. And, like, the types of warnings which started to become more prevalent again, mostly coming from, like, the late probably '80s, '90s, like, the stuff that was happening in music, the type of, like, not censorship, but type of warning labels and things like that, that mothers were starting to be more aware of, you know,
Mhm.
worried about thanks to Brigor, like, in your brigade of people.
And even in society too, like we grew up in the heat of stranger danger. Like we got grilled on that at school. Like, here's what you do if somebody asks you this. You got to say, I can't talk to you. You got to say, my dad's around the corner or whatever, right? Like they made us practice that.
Yeah. Was the height of, like, America's Most Wanted, which was incepted because of the guy's, the host's son being abducted, right?
Mhm.
So him that becoming a popular show, like, in the late '80s after it happened with his child, like, he became, a champion of that cause, and he saw an opportunity to catch criminals from a TV show that aired with a number and a hotline, And his story really freaked people out. Like it wasn't a national or popular thing or, international thing until the show became popular and he became like a popular figurehead for that, for that show.
Oh,
Which again, informed mothers, hence the Marge warning. And yeah, it's funny. Another part of The Simpsons that they also stopped with the Treehouse of Horror after a couple seasons was the headstone at the beginning.
I miss those two.
Yeah, and apparently they stopped including it because they just like were running out of ideas for that stuff. And again, they didn't want to like cut into the sketches people really loved, and it became like a cult following for like even if you didn't watch The Simpsons, maybe you liked The Simpsons Halloween episode, right?
Yeah. And I get it. Those headstones would get really hard to write after a while. Um, I totally understand why they stopped it. I just if the day ever comes when they stop the chalkboard gag, that's when I'll cry because that's like my favorite. Uh,
Killer.
So let's rank these stories, Amanda. What was your least favorite of the three?
Ah, hmm. I think my least favorite of the three is Bart's dream,
Mhm.
The Good Life, the one where he's the godlike.
Ditto.
Yeah, simply because I think I don't I, like there were parts of it that I found funny and like to your like recalling like when he's basically the Jack in the Box and we're doing it and they're doing everything together. Like how are they playing baseball? How are they playing baseball? Like you have like that's my favorite part of that one. Um, but yeah, I think just in general, like adults and parents are terrified of their kids, like without the element of like any kind of supernatural ability. So like it's a more reasonable, like it's not as much a parody as it is a parody of an actual again Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
But it yeah, I didn't think it was as funny as the other.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, it's got its moments, of course they all do, but it just kind of it comes you laugh at the concept, and then by the time you're done laughing at the concept, it's already kind of over. It's a really quick in and out story.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, it just kind of fell short of the other 2.
yeah. It's kind of a cheap story.
Mhm.
It's the short and sweet idea. Like it has a lot of, themes and ideas behind it, even though it is very simple. But yeah, I think that's why I don't like it. Probably why.
Yeah, it's never been one to write home about. Like, I'm never excited when I put on this episode, I'm like, "Oh, it's the monster one where he reads minds." Alright, what about your number 2?
Okay, my number two is the monkey paw. Monkey paw. Yeah. I do really like it again because it has Ned, it has Mo, and like it has other characters in it. Um, and it's just a funny ending. Again, them encountering this, you know, supernatural, object and seeing how poorly things going and them just like again just ignoring it.
Mhm.
Really wish for or learn from your past mistake and what you've just experienced and they just can't. And there we go, hilarious. Yeah.
And my number 2 is Homer's nightmare. It's our Frankenstein nightmare. It's great, like, I don't really have a bad thing to say about it. It is very quick like Bart's, it's kind of in and out. Um, and I love what they did with the Frankenstein story and how they Simpsonized it, but for me, the monkey's paw one just it takes the cake. It
Yeah.
really does. It is, the monkey's paw is n you I never stop laughing from the moment it starts to the moment it ends, and so much happens.
Mhm.
Like, the other 2 nightmares are great, but they are just like, here's one simple concept, and there it is. Whereas the paw, every wish is like a little different mini adventure,
Yeah.
them being famous and, like, that stupid calypso song that they record, like, all those little things. Flanders just reacting like, "Oh, look at that monkey's paw," and then
Yeah.
he gets everything he wants and he's fine, like,
No problem.
"No problem."
Yeah.
The peace on earth and how,
Yeah.
like, that "What do you want me to do? I'm a baker now." That like,
Yeah.
every little beat of that is changing the story, and I just love getting taken for that ride every time. I love the monkey's paw to pieces.
Great choice. It was I was tossed, but again, I like the Frankenstein just because I love Frankenstein. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's a tough one for me. It's really close between those 2 for the exact same reason. Good
Yeah.
choice. Good choice.
You too. Good choice. Yeah, Frankenstein is great. I can't wait for that Guillermo del Toro movie.
Yeah, I'm excited. His movies are always very visually beautiful,
Mhm.
and there's so much to just look at. It's always worth a second watch, a lot of his films, you know, and they're also very layered, so, you notice things you maybe didn't the first watch. Yeah, I'm a big fan. He's had a few exhibits where you can go and see, his collection,
Oh.
costumes, and, his comic book, a lot of his, like, collector's items that he's, I guess, been able to purchase over the years, like a lot of things from other, like, movie memorabilia.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, so they had it at the ROM one year. It was really fun. A lot of stuff from, like, Pan's Labyrinth, like statues. So if you're a big horror fan, if you ever see the Guillermo del Toro exhibit, definitely go see it. Check it out. I don't know if it's still touring or not, but if it ever does again, you know, 100% recommend.
Is it like an escape room? If I go, can I get chased by the pale man?
No, you can't. You can't, but I don't know if maybe they would potentially incorporate something like that now that, so social media is more of a thing and more interactive um, installations are happening. Like I know, like with Stranger Things, they have stuff like that, and I think they have like a Demogorgon. So I would imagine maybe now they would invest in some of the characters like being there to take photos with instead of statues. Like,
Sweet.
but it's great.
Oh, that sounds really cool. All right. Do you have anything you want to plug before we sign off on this Tales from the Treehouse?
Um, yeah, actually, something not related to me. One, your upcoming book.
Oh, you're too kind.
You can give them the details. Um, but the second, just again, reading fundamental. Read Frankenstein. Yeah, that is a good suggestion for the season. It's a gothic horror classic, and if you haven't read it, it's beautifully written. You'll forget you're reading a horror story at all at that point.
Yeah, the prose is gorgeous. Like, there were a few points when I was reading it for the first time where I stopped and I'm like, I have to write this down, this quote, because this quote is just too good. I don't want to forget it.
Epic. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
She was the pioneer of sci-fi, Mary Shelley. She knows her
Oh
shit.
yeah, she invented a few genres and subgenres there, just in one book. That's for sure.
Yeah, please read Frankenstein if you have not read it. And while you're at it, read my books. They're called We Were Wizards. I also have another book called Side Scroller. They're all available on Amazon right this second. I don't know what you're waiting for. There's also a new book coming out, like Amanda mentioned. When I'm able to, I'm going to talk about that and give more details about the title and a little bit of a plot summary. I'm very proud of the title. The title's like one of my favorite parts about it. But yeah, I'm excited to share that with the world when it comes out. But you can look forward to more of us on Tales from the Treehouse as we talk about Treehouse of Horror 3 next time. But until then, everybody, please don't blame us.
We voted for Kodo.
Hey, see you next time.